Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians and guests. We're so glad to have you all with us. Today is the October 12th meeting of the Rotary Club of Gainesville. Guests and visiting Rotarians who are currently visiting us on Zoom, please identify yourself on the chat. If you're watching on YouTube, please register your participation by sending an email to info@rotarygainesville.org. I see Pete is waiting. Come on over, please.
I recognize it's timely to have one just before the joke. So, okay, so I just want to share with you guys that I've always seen these orange and blue bins that we put out there on the street, and I've always wondered what happened to them. And so I thought I'd see if I could arrange to ride with the truck. And so I did, and they let me on the truck. And so I was not really sure if I was going to know how to do this, but I picked it up as we went along. Aren't you glad we had technical difficulties? All right, we're going to sing God Bless America. God bless America, land that I love, and beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above, from the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Join me in pledging allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Pete. Eric Spivey is with us today.
Join me as we pray together. Gracious God and creator of all, we come today acknowledging life as a gift. First, O Lord, we give thanks to you for the lives you have given to us. Thank you for our families which love us and allow us to love them. Thank you for our health and strength which fuels our service and vocation. Thank you for our friends who become lights of life into our souls. And thank you for the gift of vocation that brings purpose and meaning to the everydayness of our lives. Second, O Lord, we give thanks to you for the ways that you use us as your gift to the world. May our actions be used for the common good of our community, our businesses, and the broader world. Strengthen us as your club as we invest ourselves in the world. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you very much, Eric. You may be seated, and at this time, we're going to introduce any visiting Rotarians or Rotarians with guests. We would ask you to stand and please introduce your guests.
Fellow Rotarians, my name is Ivan Ulrich, and today my guest is Julia Thomas. She's our marketing director. She's been with us, well, she started in that year that didn't happen last year, so now we're getting out and doing things. So anyway, Julia Thomas.
Welcome, Julia.
Thank you. President David and fellow Rotarians, I'm pleased to introduce three very special people today. First is a beautiful woman that I met 55 years ago at a bookstore at the University of Florida, Sally Marie Parks Thompson. She took a giant leap of hope and faith and married me 51 years ago. Sally Thompson. And next, a special guest, our closest, we consider our closest friends, over 45 years, Tom and Joanne Young, Dr. Tom and Joanne Young.
Okay, thank you very much. Next, we're going to move into announcements. First, we have first up Marie Collins.
Well, hello again, everybody. Guess I'm not used to this. Just in case you haven't heard, we're having our international auction benefiting the Sustainable Cambodia Project. It will be held November 30th right here at the Cade. And for those who cannot attend in person, we will have Zoom, and we'll also have online bidding, which is a lot of fun. We're looking for additional committee members, so if you feel like joining us, please do. You can contact myself or Richard Allen or anybody in the committee. Donations can be anywhere from a gift certificate to a week in the mountains. A couple of ideas I had were a foursome for golf, bowling for the family, or gift baskets from businesses you patronize. Items can be brought to Rotary on Tuesday or dropped off at the Firestone building at 304 West University Avenue. Elena has put together quite a nice flyer, which is on the table for all of you to see. It has all the information you need. So thank you for your participation. Thank you for your attention. And I know for certain our auction is going to be the best ever. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marie. TJ Pache has some announcements for us.
I learned better last week to go behind the camera, so I'm good. I actually have 3 announcements. It may be 2 if I forget what I'm talking about by the end. First, I just want to say thank you to everybody who has donated to the Afghanistan project. When we brought everything over and saw the amount of money that we had raised, I don't think anybody had been as happy as I was since Chad met Jason. Thank you. Thank you. Got that one in there. Number 2, Catholic Charities tomorrow morning at 9:30. We're going to be packing backpacks for students at the schools. If you're interested in coming, meet us at Catholic Charities at 9:30 on Monday morning, or tomorrow morning. Don't come Monday morning. And then the third thing is we are having a tour, a fun and fellowship tour of the UF libraries on Thursday, October 21st at 6 p.m. Many of you already know, but the UF libraries also has an extensive archives, and in those archives are lots of cool things from people like Zora Neale Hurston, Bo Diddley, and many other famous figures. So we'll be able to see some of that stuff. So if you're interested in coming, please do. And thank you so much, everybody.
Perfect. Thank you, TJ. Susan Crowley.
Mike always has to go up. I'm a member of the Rotary Ethics and Business Committee, and our award is going to be, is now in process. We're doing it with the Greater Gainesville Chamber of Commerce, and it honors and recognizes individuals of business in the community and exemplifies the ideals of Rotary, consistently demonstrating strong commitment to the highest ethical practices in all facets of business. You can find the nomination form on the website, on the DACDB website, and the deadline for submissions is November 5th. So please give some thought to people in the community. Certainly our club is full of people who exemplify the Rotary ideals and ethics in business. It's a great award to bring attention not only to people who are doing an amazing job in their lives and for our community, but also for our club. So think about it.
All right, thank you very much, Susan. And Greg Young, I believe you have an announcement.
Thank you, Melanie. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm reminding you that this Saturday is the Rotary Leadership Institute to be held in Palm Coast at the Daytona Beach State College there in Palm Coast. If you haven't attended in one of these in the past, they're a lot of fun. They serve breakfast and lunch, and it's a quick day. You finish up about 3:30 in the afternoon. Now, I know a number of people have signed up, so if you'll see me later or contact me via email, we'll talk about carpooling opportunities. But if you haven't, I believe they are still accepting online registrations in terms of Zoom, but it will be in person as well. So I think it's a hybrid format. but hopefully you can attend this one or think about this down the road as something to do to learn more about what Rotary does in the world and in our community. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Greg. And next we will have David. Come on up. President David, take over here.
Welcome, everyone. It's good to see everybody here, fellow Rotarians, guests. We've got a kind of a special program today with a Paul Harris Fellow presentation that Ryan's going to do. But first, I need to work through a few little business announcements, and I see I'm going to go ahead and tell you first. One of the things I wanted to announce from our meeting last night. We continue to grow as a club. We've approved our newest member, and she just walked in, Miss Helen Warren. Welcome, welcome, Helen. It's good to see you. Great, it's good to see you. Thank you, Craig Carter, for welcoming Helen into the club as her sponsor. A couple of other things I just want to quickly go through, some business stuff. We did have our monthly board meeting last night, and one of the areas that typically gets a lot of conversation during our board meetings is funds requests, and we had 2 of those. So I want to tell you that the Alachua County Teacher of the Year program is something that we have supported traditionally for many years. And this is pretty neat. This is actually on January 27th, the Outstanding Teacher of the Year from each of the Alachua County Public Schools will be recognized, and then the overall Teacher of the Year will be named. And we are supporting that effort. Another effort that I know many of you are maybe, I would even say, recently passionate about. We had a presentation from a representative from PACT, that's Partners Against Child Trafficking. Right now, we are, at this moment, we are not going to support that request, but I bring that up kind of carefully and deliberately because I know many of you, like me, were moved when Mr. Winkleman gave that presentation in August. And so I bring that up just to let you know that I'm going to be sending out an email with a link to their site. So if you're so inclined to support that, I encourage you to do so. Finally, this is something fun. We've got October 24th is World Polio Day. I think everybody knows that the End Polio Now campaign, which has been a focus of Rotary International, is something that we try to remind you about regularly, but this is our annual day, and we're actually going to have a pretty neat event over at Gainesville Health and Fitness Center at 1 o'clock. From 1 to 3, we're going to have, see, what are we calling this? This is the Rotary Ride for Polio Challenge, and so we'll get into teams of 4, and we're going to raise money somehow for this. I'm not clear on exactly where the fundraising part's going to come in, but this is awareness, and I'll tell you, this is in the process of being created, but it's something that's going to be a lot of fun. And I know Mary Kate and some others have participated in this kind of thing before. So I'm going to send out a link to this also. So I'm looking forward to that. And I think you might even see myself and my family on a bike for that. It's coming up a week from Sunday. And now, without further ado, I'm going to ask Ryan Thompson to come up with a special Paul Harris Fellow presentation.
President David. Good afternoon. At the 1917 Rotary Convention, held in Atlanta, Georgia, nonetheless, then Rotary President Arch Klump shared his idea of starting an endowment fund dedicated to doing good in the world. I thought Matthew Brady had come up with that term, but I guess not. 11 years later, this was formed into the Rotary Foundation. In 1957, Rotary established a Paula Harris Fellow recognition to both encourage and show appreciation for substantial contributions to the foundation. The Paul Harris Fellow recognition acknowledges individuals who contribute or who have contributions made in their name of $1,000 to the foundation. In its 100-year history, the foundation has spent more than $4 billion on life-changing, sustainable projects, chief among them Polio Plus. As President David mentioned, October 24th is a World Polio Day. In fact, this morning I received an email, as I'm sure all of you did as well, about a webinar for the Rotary Foundation Polio Grant on October 28th, if you'd like additional information on that effort. Today, I have the honor, on behalf of my father, to recognize Dr. Thomas K. Young as Rotary's newest Paul Harris Fellow. Dr. Young, if you come up and stand beside me, I appreciate it. Dr. Young grew up in Clarksburg, West Virginia, the son of an attorney and a homemaker. Before making his way to Gainesville, he graduated from medical school at Northwestern University, completed an internship in Dallas, Texas, where he met his lovely bride, Joanne, served 4 years in the U.S. Navy, and completed a residency as an OBGYN. Dr. Young moved to Gainesville to join Taylor Kirby and Herb Gilliland in 1976, a practice that grew over the years and became North Florida Women's Physicians, now Comprehensive Women's Health. In 1983, he became Alachua General Hospital's Chief of Staff, served on the Board of Directors, and received numerous awards and achievements throughout his career, including Distinguished Service Award by Florida OBGYN Society and Lifetime Achievement Award. Since leaving his practice, Dr. Young has been an adjunct professor at the University of Florida and volunteered at Helping Hands Clinic and Lawton Child's Elementary School teaching math and science. Tom and Joanne have two beautiful daughters, which babysat me many times growing up, Betsy and Sarah, and their combined 5 grandchildren. But I know Dr. and Mrs. Young as lifelong friends of my parents. From many vacations to Colony Reef over at Crescent Beach to golf lessons out on the course and endless medical advice, mainly from my dad. Not many people can say they know the doctor that delivered them. For me, it's especially special to be able to recognize the doctor who delivered me several years later as a Paul Harris Fellow. I've been blessed to have both my parents and the Youngs as role models throughout my life. I'll tell you a little story growing up. Mom, I ask your forgiveness in advance. I was about 8 years old. We're watching TV as a family one night before bed. It was Jacques Cousteau documentary on the Discovery Channel. We'll get my mom to see when she realizes where this is going. I was asked to get ready for bed, so I went and took my regular bath, and lo and behold, there was a little G.I. Joe figure in the bathtub that had scuba fins on them. So this is actually the G.I. Joe figure I found last night before this meeting. So to my delight, I pretended to be Jacques Cousteau in the bathtub, swimming around, having a delightful time. To my mom's horror, when she came in to check on me in the bathtub, I happened to be face down, scuba diving, as Jacques Cousteau would. And you can imagine her reaction. When she screamed, I instantly popped my head up, accidentally hit it on the faucet, and cut the top of my head. Her first call was to Dr. Young. He immediately came over, checked, verified that I didn't need stitches, and all's well that ends well. So, Dr. Young, thank you very much for joining us today. It is my pleasure to recognize you as a Paul Harris Fellow. Here's your certificate, and I have a pen for you. That'll spare everybody the time and frustration of pinning it on him. Thank you, Dr. Young.
Well, thank you so much, Ryan, for that excessively flattering introduction, but I thank you so much. And we have been the Thompsons have been wonderful friends since the time we first came to Gainesville, and those are precious things. And Doug, Sally, Ryan, thank you so much. I'm sure this award will go to good use. Thank you all.
Thank you, Ryan, and congratulations, Dr. Young. I just want to quickly say that that was just so well done, Ryan, and I know that you and your father have been planning this for a while. This is the way Paul Harris Fellows should be presented, with this kind of intention, so thank you very much. I'm going to now ask Susan Crowley to come up and bring our distinguished speaker.
Our speaker today is Gainesville Fire and Rescue Services Chief Joseph W. Dixon, Sr. Joe Dixon was born and raised in Baltimore, Maryland, and he began his emergency services career with Howard County, Maryland Department of Fire and Rescue Services in 1993 and retired as Assistant Chief in charge of operations in June of 2018. In July of 2018, Joe was named the Fire Chief of the Goldsboro, North Carolina Fire Department, where he guided the department to new heights over the course of nearly 3 years. His migration south is now complete, as he was named Chief of the Gainesville, Florida Department of Fire and Rescue in March of 2021. Chief Dixon is an experienced presenter, instructor, having developed presentations for the International Association of Fire Chiefs, the Black Chief Officers Committee, and International Association of Emergency Managers. Joe also holds a bachelor's degree in fire science from the University of Maryland College and a Master's of Arts in Organizational Leadership from Waldorf College. An active member with the church and community, his interests include service to others, so he's in the right place, sports, and travel. Please welcome Chief Dixon.
Good afternoon, everyone. I certainly appreciate that introduction, and to bring up the presentation. So yes, that's a picture of me, just to let you know who I am. But one of the things about presenting and talking to a group as we're having a conversation is that I wanted to get to know you. What is Rotary? And we're talking about 1.2 million people, over 35,000 clubs nationwide, just doing good things, having a mission to provide service to others, promote integrity, advance world understanding, goodwill, and peace. Those are all good things. There's certainly things that I hold close and dear to me, as you'll see later, if some other organizations that I'm affiliated with. And I was telling your president that prayerfully later this week, now they were the first ones that got to me, I'll be a member of the morning Rotarian Club after I did a presentation with them. So I'll be joining your ranks hopefully very soon. So whatever Rotary may mean to us, to the world, it would be known by the result it achieves. And so that was from your founder, but you guys are familiar with this, Mr. Harris. So when I think of Chicago, what comes out of Chicago? You think of cold, the Bears, cold weather, and pizza. But this wonderful thing over 110, over a century ago, came out of Chicago, and I look, what have they accomplished? Do they just talk about it, or are they about it? So your president and I were over there, and we were having a conversation. I talked to him about the Polio Initiative. So in the early 1980s, I believe, you guys had an initiative. You want to end the pandemic. Sounds familiar. And now you have it at certainly below an endemic level because of the effort of people like you. So those things like that are impressive to me. Shared responsibility, and to do all those wonderful things I've already talked about, including fight disease, provide clean water, save mothers and children, support education. So now I'm gonna tell you just a little bit about me. So does anybody recognize that? I see it's about Baltimore, Maryland, Inner Harbor, Baltimore, Maryland. So that's where I grew up. I grew up in the inner city of Baltimore. It did not look like that, but I served in Howard County, Maryland. So of course, where you start does not necessarily have to dictate where you end up. So coming up through the public school system, I got my education, went in the military, got my education, and it afforded me an opportunity after going and becoming a member of the fire service to go back, and this is the Freddie Gray riots. So I was able to be a part of the incident command team to go to the city where I was born and raised and go back and help manage and get past this very ugly point in the city of Baltimore's history. And you'll understand why I'm talking about this. Some other things about me: served for 25 years. That's John Travolta. I was part of the Ladder 49. I was in the, just so you know who I am, part of the Diversity and Executive Leadership Program Award, developing leadership because we talk about it, the fire service is made up, is Caucasian male dominated. It has been, it is, and for the foreseeable future, it will be. But you have to, if you know that diversity is important, and diversity is not black and white. So if you understand it, I won't go any further than that. It's about developing a path to make sure that you hear what other people have to say, because those various perspectives help make your organization better. And it's been proven over and over again. So this is a picture. When I was named the fire chief in Goldsboro, North Carolina, unbeknownst to me, busloads of people came from Howard County, Maryland to support me. Now, some of these people I had threatened, I hate to use the word threatened, but were subject to being fired because I disciplined them. But I would never discipline someone because I didn't like them. It's to change behavior. And they respected me for doing my job and making sure, and I treated everyone fairly. And I don't know if you can see, you can barely see, I'm in the middle with the white hat, but you probably see a little speck of white because it just did my heart so good to see that many people there. And we talk about service, community, working with others. That's something that I practice. There comes a point in your life where, in my life, certainly, when I think about an organization like this, where I'm like, man, I'm blessed beyond what I deserve. And now what am I going to do to help make it better for others? And that's my role as I take being a public servant very seriously. Years ago, I developed, my values and my goals. Because if you just talk about something or you have nothing, where am I going? Kind of like a strategic plan for myself, very simple, but to tell me, my priorities, what am I going to do? Practice my faith, be courageous, discipline, professionalism, effectiveness, goodness, accountability, and thankfulness. And what am I going to do every day? Pray daily, manage my time better, learn new skills, help others, spend more time with family. I'm on my third marriage. I learned that late. But I am. It's okay because I found a beautiful woman, complete EFO, become a fire chief, which I did. So this was years ago, and I'm able to check those things off because I had some goals and I worked toward them. So now, as we look at it, just again, so to finish up, I like horses. No one would never doing that. I like traveling. That's my wife, my current wife, right there in the middle. My last wife, right there in the middle. I became a grandfather. I tell you, from a guy that's been in the military, my son blessed me by naming, certainly again, Hardin. I told you, I grew up in Baltimore. I'm a fire chief. I've seen the worst. I've seen all sort of things. I held that baby. The tears wouldn't stop coming down. I promised to pay for college, all these, buy the first car, all those things. But it's just what's important to me: family, friends, mentoring people, and just trying to make the world a better place. To share some other things about me, talk about why I'm so happy to be here today, because these are some other organizations, professional and private, that I belong to. I don't know if there's any squares in the room. Are there any Masons? No, none? Okay, that's fine. So I'm a Mason, a member of the 100 Black Men, International Association of Arson Investigators. I'm an emergency manager, Black chief officers, and so NAACP, just other organizations that you have to have. How am I going to make my profession better? How am I going to make my community better? How am I going to lift somebody else up? Because somebody helped push and pull me up. So one of the organizations I belong to, lifting as we climb, making sure that I reach back and encourage others. So now, here in Gainesville, when I came down as a fire chief, as an executive, because people always talk about fire chiefs, they think this uniform, this hat. No, I wear a suit, and this is a custom-made suit. So when I roll out, to let you guys know, I'm coming to do business. So I can talk the finance, I can talk the strategic planning, the politics, but I'm apolitical that have to make a business grow. Certainly the personnel component as well, because when you come, people gather an impression, right or wrong, about you, but you have to let them know that you understand the business at hand. So when I come down, you do an assessment. You can do a SWOT, you can call it a SWOT or whatever. But this is one of the programs that was like a flagship, the Community Resource Paramedicine program. I'm like, wow, that's something that, because what it's supposed to do, it's supposed to take those, and if you think, and not to offend anyone, but if you think from a biblical standpoint, I'm judged by how I treat the least. So this program, when we look at the community of Gainesville, was designed, there's something called social determinants of health. So that means somebody with their level of education, their socioeconomic standing, their access, mobility, all these things are associated with their ability to put themselves in a better position from a health standpoint. So I was like, man, this is a flagship program. I Google it, and there's all these things came up about Gainesville, and typically it's co-branded with the University of Florida. And I'm like, this is amazing. I get here and I do an assessment, and there's no funding, and I'm not asking for any money. So let me be very clear about that. There was no funding associated with a sound business plan. And I looked at other similar plans across the United States, and they fail for the same reasons. So for those you don't know, there was a place, a few years ago called Dignity Village, where they kind of herded all these people. And this is kind of where it was born. We were running the city of Gainesville Fire and Rescue was running all these calls to this place where these homeless people were herded to. And we're like, we have to do better. How can we do better? And part of it was let's start talking to these people and figure out, is it chronic? If we can get you to home, a job, if we can get you health care, if we can get you out of this condition, that helps everybody. It reduces alcohol load, and it's helping an individual, it's helping a person, which is more important to me. So I talked about the University of Florida and this being a partnership that initially it was the plan was to develop with them. Well, University of Florida is great. So the other thing I learned when I came down here is that and I know it's a lot of University of Florida grads in here, that the University of Florida is one of the biggest lands in the city of Gainesville. But guess what that means? They don't pay taxes on that, which means it's a great deal. Again, I understand business. It's a great deal, but it doesn't help us when we're trying to deal with some of these issues. So a little over 10 years ago, the University of Florida gave the city of Gainesville an $800,000 grant to help them buy a piece of equipment, well before my time. So when I came down and after I did my assessment of not just this, but all the programs, I went and talked to the city manager. I said, I'm going to meet with Dr. Fox. He was like, well, and first of all, I had to make sure I pronounced his name correctly, because when I looked at it, if you guys know what I'm talking about, it doesn't look like Fox. So I researched Dr. Fox so that I knew that he had, I believe, a master's of divinity and his doctorate is in electrical engineering. So what am I going to do? I'm going to talk to him about, I'm going to appeal to those things. I talk to him from a standpoint of, isn't it good to help your neighbors? If you are a top 5 public university with over $1 billion of outward facing initiatives, you know, I'm not asking you for a hand. If you help us, you know, we can do partner and sustain partnership. Let's figure out a way to do it to make this a global, innovative model. You know, let's do that. So I appealed to that. Then I also provided the numbers, because now I'm attacking that, not attacking, that's a bad word, but now I'm appealing to that computer, that engineering, give me the data piece, because everything also, when you're dealing with business these days, it's about performance metrics. You know, I can tell you I'm doing good, but you want to see it on your bottom line. So I got to give you fact. So we did that. And the other person I talked to, of course, and I'll get into that a little more. The last conversation I had was Mr. Jimenez, who's the current CFO. Is that the correct? CEO, okay, of Shands. So again, trying to work, because what you may or may not know is the wonderful things that you think fire department. I told them the other thing, that I'm about business. My second wife was a marketing executive. So I'm about marketing and branding. You're always marketing and branding yourself. So when they always talk about us as a fire department, people will say, well, aren't the instances, I haven't had a fire truck. May I ask people who've had a fire truck at their home in the last few years, raise their hand? Most of the people, and that's what I tell them. Anybody had an ambulance at their home? Well, you guys are very healthy people. I assume it's a lot of doctors, but typically what people are worried about, and you'll hear it in a lot of public meetings, they say, we don't have a fire problem. We have a crime problem, and we're worried about education. So it's going to be schools first, typically police, somewhere in there, depending upon where you live at, but schools, police, but they're not worried about the fire department. But we do so much more. And for those of you that are medical professionals in here, we are, just about everybody, a high percentage, over 95%, are paramedics, which means you get the gold standard of care when we arrive on the scene, which our ROS rate, return of spontaneous circulation rate, is off the charts. So these are things that we do. But the other things we do is our outward facing footprint, meaning we're doing, when our own city employee health services, they didn't come to work. They didn't come to work for a period during the pandemic. Gainesville Fire and Rescue did. So we continued the testing. We continued to give COVID vaccinations. We continued to go out in the community and try to educate people, provide flu shots, and doing those things, because if you have a better educated community, a better vaccinated community, it's a healthier community. And that's what we're trying to make sure we do. So it's beyond just being, oh, the only time that we should be concerned about them is in the instances of fire. And the other thing is the marketing on our Facebook, our other platforms, Facebook, Instagram. If the only time you see me is on the worst day of your life, I'm a bad fire chief. We need to be engaged in the community all the time, to be at community events and making sure you understand that you know us and that you know that we're doing these things and making a difference in the community. So I talked a little bit earlier about those social determinants of health. We have a plan and we have partners that assist us in every aspect of this and providing the healthcare, mobility, social and community contacts, economic stability. We have partners that a network of partners that assist us in making the city of Gainesville better through partnership. And we have graduates. We call them graduates that, I don't know if you can see you can read it from where you are, but it says CRP helped me with managing my medications, setting goals, and eliminating stress and knowing that other people care. That's one of many. That's one of many. So quickly, what I'm trying to tell you is that we're better when we work together. We have all these resources. We have all these people. But what happens a lot of times, as I was talking to your president, is that we have all these resources in this great college town, but a lot of times, well, this is over here, and if this person who's the president or the executive or the director or whatever their title is today, if their name is not at the top of this list of this group, they can't do it. They're going to stay over there. And you have these resources and they're not talking. So the only thing that I ask is to make a better Gainesville if you're concerned, most of you in here, everyone in here, including myself, you have self-interest. You want to be healthy. You want your family to be healthy. You want to have the things that you need. But what about those that don't have as much? So if you want to help those, find out a path where you can actually make a difference. I don't know if you saw the people they've cleared. There was, when you came down Main Street, and I'm sure you've passed it many times as you were coming here to this beautiful museum, a group of homeless people that was sitting outside with old fire station #1. And when I first came to here, I'm like, what in the world? But now they've relocated those people. So what about, so you can get that image out of your head because they're now gone, you don't see it, or you be like, sometimes that land, what happened to those people? And I know what happened to some of them, how they've been relocated, but are we really making a difference? And am I really making as a public servant? And when I look at your vision statement, seeing a world where people unite and take action, is that really happening? So if there's a way, if there's an opportunity for collaboration and partnership, and it's not a money thing, but it's because someone that could make something happen, that could open a door. Do you know the cost of a public state education in Florida, including room and board, is about $16,000. I just looked that up, so I'm sure. So we have needs in the fire service where, and I've already talked to the city manager about, and again, a partnership, innovative concept, because what you've probably heard before, one of the FEMA directors, Craig Fugate, who's actually lived here in Gainesville, one of the reasons I became emergency manager, the federal government, the government can't do it by themselves. So you have to have sometimes public-private partnerships that work together to make things better. So what I'm saying is that if you have someone that could connect the dots and have the University of Florida, I have a need for analytics, to come in and show, are we doing things right? I'll pay your college tuition. I've talked to the city manager about that. I'm not asking you to be a firefighter, but this may be your capstone project before you graduate. That's a benefit to the city. That's a benefit to the fire and rescue. That's a benefit to that individual. So we're thinking about these things. We're trying to move forward and make things happen. And that's it. I'm going to be short just to tell you about, don't think of us as just a fire department. We are all hazard response organization. We respond to hazmat, including the hazmat, that everybody know there's a nuclear reactor on the University of Florida. Yeah, there is. Everybody know there's chemical, all these things that we do that you don't, it's like insurance. You're like, why do we need a fire department? Or why do we need that service, that station there? It's like insurance. You don't think you need us, but when you do want us to be there, you want us to be there. So when certain initiatives come up, and I'm again trying to figure a way so it won't come to the citizenship, but we're going to be asking for support because we do need to update our facility. But I thank you very much for this opportunity to speak before you today. And if there are any questions, whether we have time, which I'm not certain, or afterwards, please see me. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Chief. That was a great presentation. Clearly one that you prepared for well. And I'll tell you honestly, what I enjoyed so much was getting to know the guy that was presenting first. I got to talk to you a little bit at the table, and then your kind of little bio sketch you did there. I appreciate your authenticity. Eric and I were just kind of, that's transparent when you referred to your current wife. That's pretty solid. I like that. Gee, that's totally cool. My father referred to his 48-year wife, my mother, as his current wife until he died. So that's totally cool. As a relatively new Rotarian, you're probably aware of our 4-way test that everything, okay, good. This is great. Everything that we as Rotarians think, say, or do not only in our business relationships, but our personal relationships inside this room and outside this room. We run it by the four-way test. And we ask, is it fair? Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? Chief, I've got a coin to commemorate your speech, your presentation today, and your joining Rotary. We just appreciate you being here and everything that you do for our community. Okay, good. I've got the ticket this time. For the winning ticket number is 641. 641. Melanie, wow. Okay. Thank you guys for being here. It's great to have everyone in person and on Zoom. This meeting is adjourned. We'll see you next Tuesday.